Blog Talk Radio.
This is another episode of Wake Up African People. This is the Truth Doctor, and I'm here with my host, Astro Black, and my hostess, Queen Hetepsu. And tonight's show is the God theory. Is the theory of God factual, or is it just a theory? Because if it's a theory, it's not fact. See, a theory is based on somebody's conception of what something is or how something works or whatever. It's not fact. And we're going to come to you tonight to drop this science down to you that what you've been taught about God is just another race of people's conception of what they think God is and how God works. And a lot of that was stolen and bastardized from some ancient stuff that your people created. And tonight, we're going to bring Astro Black, blacker than ever, on first. Astro, the mic is yours.
Yes, yes. Good evening, brothers and sisters. How are you out there? I hope you all is well. Stay strong, stay black. Like Brother Akbar was alluding to, every group of people tells folklore and mythology in the image of their own people. And you can go around the world, and each culture, each nation, each group of people has their own creation story. And it goes down the line in Africa, in the Congo, the creator of that was as named by the Bushongo people in the Congo was Mumbumba or Umbumbo, the creator god, who was there in the beginning, walking in darkness, and this giant pale skinned figure was who millions of years ago spit out the sun, the moon, and the earth, and the 9 different kinds of animals and human beings who became what is known as life on Earth. And then we can go down into Turtle Island, or what is known as North and South America, and what we see is Coahuitli, who in the Aztec tradition is an Aztec goddess who gave birth to the moon and the stars. And Huitzilcolopoclitli, the sun god and the god of war. And these are the gods who are said in the Huatl to be the one with the skirt of spirits. And this is the one word of the spirit, the Kualu, is the mother goddess of the earth, who gives birth to all celestial beings, also known as the goddess of fire and fertility, the goddess of life, death, and rebirth, and also known as the mother of the southern stars. And we can go down to around the world to the Japanese, who have a god called Izanami or Inzanangi, and Izanami, she who invites, and Izanzangi, he who invites, are the primordial gods of the Shinto religion, who are believed to have created the islands of Japan by stirring the earth and stirring the water with a great spear, and giving birth to the many other of the Shinto gods, or the kami of the Japanese popular religion, Shinto. And you can, and through the Native American tribes, there are a whole host of different totems and creators of the universe, going from the Great Spirit, or the first creator of the Mandan creators. The Crow believe in Agban Atandia. The Blackfoot tribes believe in the Old Man. The West Coast tribes believe in the Coyote, the trickster, as the creator of the earth and the universe. The Sioux believe in Wakantanka, and the Dene people believe in Nitosi. The Chickasaw believe in Abambenili, and the Powhatan people, who come from the old fame and folklore of, and the history of Pocahontas, believe in Ahone. We also can look at also great tribes of people, indigenous people across the planet, like the Mongolians, who believe in Esenge Malan, who is the creator of all things in their philosophy. He is the sky god who rules over the western horizon, and his son is the spiritual morning star, which people offer sacrifice. And the Mongolian people believe that they who offer sacrifice to the son of the great creator are rewarded with great harvest yields and prosperity. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? In Oceanica, in the islands of the South Pacific, we have Ranginui, who is the sky, the father, and the Earth Mother, who is Papatuanoku, and in Maori, in the Maori context, the mother Earth and the Father Sky deities are locked in a primordial embrace, and between them they have their children. And so you see in these indigenous cultures, you see a pairing of the male and the female energies as being dual creators of the universe and the earth and the sky and all creation. But in all these many philosophies and disciplines and spiritual practices, you see that the deity and the creator is chosen and scripted in the form of the people themselves, and so that they see themselves in the image of the gods, and the gods, and reversely, the gods as images of themselves, which is very important in the way that you really identify yourselves with your environment, with the universe, and that God, that you are in yourself, male and female, in a way, in a very strong and very definitive way, you are a reflection of the divine universe.
Okay, that's your list of gods. I mean, you could keep going there's so many different deities and gods in all different cultures. I mean, you can keep going on for months and weeks. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it makes sense because everybody that has any sense conceptualizes the creative force to mimic themselves. You know, the Chinese, I mean, they have theirs. Even the Europeans that we so much love so much that we gave up ours. I mean, not willingly, some people, but in some cases willingly gave up theirs to adopt the Europeans because they were so vicious, them and the Arabs. And it's one thing that gets me. The Jewish faith doesn't spread their religion because they believe that nobody can be a Jew unless you're really born a Jew. They just started accepting outside people from the faith that they created, the Judaism, which Christianity and Judaism and Islam is all from the same tree of religion, Western religions. So, but the two that spreaded their religion by force are the two largest religions on earth, and that's Christianity and Islam. You wonder why they spread them? Because when they went into Africa, when we let them in, and they were just, visitors and, just come into Africa to make money or trade or whatever, they noticed, they studied us. They were studying us the whole time. And they noticed one thing about us, that we were very, very spiritual people. I mean, we were so spiritual. Everything that we did had some spiritual concept in it or some type of spiritual motivation in there. If we cut down the tree, the African used to, pay salutations to the tree. Whatever they did, they kill an animal, they would pay salutations to the animal. Whatever they did, because they didn't see themselves outside of nature. And these people here, they think that they're outside of nature, that they're outside of everything that exists here. But we didn't practice that way. We had spirituality, but it was mixed in nature. Because we felt though nature is the creator itself. And it makes more sense than some white sky daddy up in the sky or some Arab, same thing, Arab sky daddy, because they all believe in the same God and the same tree from Abraham to Adam and all that stuff. But this was brought to us with guns and force. And our people accepted it back then with the guns and force. But there's no reason for them to be accepted today. Today, I pasted a picture on my Facebook. It's not the first time I pasted it. In Ghana, there was a white guy doing a movie over there about Jesus. And he was dressed up like the white Jesus and everything. And the people in Ghana was running. They was running to him like he was a rock star, like people would run to Michael Jackson or Muhammad Ali or somebody to get an autograph. And they were running all around him and everything, and it just tore me apart to see black people in 2014 with no whips, no chains, nothing, still believing in a religion that was forced on them. And when it was forced on them, they lost everything. They say that if that God in Christ gives, but they took from the African. The African don't even control anything on his own land. And this is what the religion of Islam and Christianity has done to Africa. You have half of Africa Islam, the other half Christian. And to this day, that religion has played havoc in Nigeria. You got the Christian and Muslim massacring each other. You got the Christian and Muslims in other countries that have both of the population fighting against each other. Some of them live in peace now. Not all of them are fighting. But these two religions have tore Africa apart and have done nothing for the elevation of Africa. If they were some supreme religions that's coming from some supreme creator that's going to make everything happen for you right and make good things happen to you because you accepted it and you pray every day and you go to church on Sunday and you throw money in there for the preacher to live high on the hall. You know what I'm saying? Or he claiming he's giving it to God, but then the Bible says nobody can see God and live, so how did the preacher deliver the money to God? Because according to the book, he wouldn't be alive if he's seen this God. So where is the money going? In his pocket. This has been the biggest racket that has ever been given to man. And see, when the Europeans seen our weakness, it's the art of war. You exploit the enemy's weakness. And the weakness that they seen in us was religion. Because they came, even with the little bit of Europeans that came over there with the guns and stuff. They could have never defeated that many Africans. I don't care how many guns they had because they wasn't sophisticated like they are today. When they first came, they had muskets. You know, they didn't have rapid-fire guns. I mean, they didn't get the rapid-fire Maxim gun, or what we call Gatling gun here in America. In Britain, it's called the Maxim gun, into the 19th century. That's when they actually went into the interior of Africa. I mean, the Arabs, when they conquered their parts of Africa, they Islamized them parts of Africa. The Africans joined into their religion. Some of them joined into it because of trade. They say Mansa Musa joined the Muslims because of trade. And he went to Mecca. I mean, he was more powerful than them. It was the richest country on the face of the earth, Ghana, at that time, Mali. What we call Mali in that Ghana area, you know, the Ivory Coast of Africa was the richest place on the world, on the map. They had the king of Mali holding up a piece of gold bigger than a basketball. So they didn't need these people's riches. I cannot understand how today, and it baffles me, how our people keep accepting gods and deities and different things that have nothing to do with them. And then you have some fools out here claiming it came from us as a book. There's no Bible written by no African in Africa. The Bible, the oldest written transcript of the Bible is the Gutenberg Bible, and that was written in 1465. That's damn near 5 centuries ago or 6 centuries ago. That ain't going back all the way into ancient times, to the so-called BC and all that stuff. That's just recent time, because what they did was they took from some ancient religion in Egypt, right? Well, I don't even know if we should call it religion, spiritual concept, science. I like to call it a science because it has astrology and everything is mixed up in it. You know what I'm saying? Because we had a pantheon. They call it pantheism today. And we use nature, and we use animals, people's zoomorphic forms to identify nature. Not that we thought man and animal was one, and and man should mate with animal and all that stuff. After they got it and took it into Greece, they went crazy, and they thought that the actual zoomorphic forms was people mating with animals, and people would half animals and half human. And these jokers started mating with animals because they didn't understand the concept when they got it over there. Plus, they was already doing that freaky stuff before they came over there. So what happened is, when they first started it, when it first started out, and I'm going to get Queen Hatshepsut to read from the Serapis story, how they started, how they got Africans to create them a religion. And it was meant for their people and our people, because they took rule over Egypt, to worship something where Ptolemy could feel as though he was a real pharaoh. Because the pharaoh to us was considered as God on earth. And his wife was the goddess on earth, because we didn't have no God without no goddess. But they took that story, got rid of the women because of their homosexual ways, and just went with men, and then said some harlot Mary got pregnant, and they said she was God actually did fornication with her, because he wasn't married to her or nothing like that. I mean, it's a crazy story. I mean, you can believe some of the stories in the Bible. I mean, the one that gets me the worst is that fish. The man swallowed the fish. The fish swallowed the man, and carried him on a journey and spit him out. The Jonah stories. I mean, these stories. I mean, if you can believe that, you can believe that Peter Pan was real. I mean, it's just crazy how our people are so psychologically duped out to this very day, and they've seen what this stuff has done to us and done to our people. They see that the black preachers in America every Sunday are taking all the money out of the poorest people communities, because the people think that if they believe and pray hard enough that God will give them more food, more everything, and their actually giving all their spiritual energy to the white folks' deity, which is worshiping them through proxy. You wonder why they still over top of us this day, because all your energy, spiritual energy, was powerful. You've been in a church before, most of us. And you can feel when the black people in there dancing and singing and falling out and all that stuff. There's some hellified energy going on there. But they're giving this energy to some white deity, sky daddy, up in the sky, that really never really existed, that they created. And it needs to stop, because this is damaging us. And we're going to talk about how Africa was split up and how China was split up, but Africa accepted these people's religions, but China didn't. So now China has come up out of colonialism, kicked out in 1953, kicked out all of the Christian missionaries that was there. It was over, about 2,500 Christian missionaries there, mostly Protestant, and they kicked them out. It was 1,000 from America and about 1,400 from Europe and then some other little countries. They kicked them all out, and then they closed their borders to the world, and they made their people become Chinese again. Because, the missionaries was working hard, because they know once you get the people to believe in their concept of who God is, how God works, and everything, you have spiritually enslaved them. And the highest form of enslavement is spiritual enslavement. It's like a child who's been adopted out, but you don't know who your parents is. Your adopted parents tell you one day you was adopted, and we don't know who your parents is. So now the rest of your life, you are trying to find out who you are, where you came from, who's my parents, do I have sisters and brothers or whatever. This is the same thing as searching for God. Searching, I hate to use the name God, the Creator, because God is a Germanic word from a German deity, and we ain't German. And I don't even know why we even use the name God or Jehovah. We ain't no Jew. You know what I'm saying? And all these different names we got. Allah, we ain't no Arabs. We just been turned out because we were a very spiritual people, and they seen that weakness. And they exploited that weakness. And that weakness to this day has us turned inside out. Queen Hatshepsut, read from the Serapis, Christ stuff that I gave you. Queen Astro.
Right here with you.
What happened to the Queen? Yeah, there you go, Queen. You don't want AWOL on. Read from that piece out there.
Okay. Historical evidence. The first piece, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first piece I gave you.
Historical evidence that proves Jesus Christ never existed was created by the Constantine Romans. On April 25th, 2013, at 1:26 a.m., the Council of Nicaea, the council that created Jesus Christ, the origin of the Savior, later becoming the person worshipped today as Jesus Christ. Ptolemy Merhayim Stephanar, CA 367.
September. It says Bartholomew Mary Ammon in September.
CA 367-283 BCE, before Common Era, a.k.a. Soter, means Savior. Became the first European pharaoh of Egypt through military force led by Alexander the Greek, a.k.a. Alexander the Great. When, that word again, Brother Akbar?
Bartholomew.
Bartholomew, because Pharaoh of Egypt, he wanted the Egyptians to consecrate him as God. He wanted to be called a god because that was the title of all of the pharaohs of Egypt were called prior to him. However, the people of Egypt refused to call him a god because they knew the only reason he became a pharaoh was through force. So in 305 BC, Bartholomew took the title of the pharaoh, taking the Egyptian name Mariamu.
Yes.
Means beloved of
September.
Okay, you gotta excuse me, people out there on radio shows. It's not my first language. I'm learning, but I appreciate that, Brother Oscar.
Don't worry. Go ahead. You're doing good.
Amun means God, chosen of Ra. Ra means God. And because of the Egyptians' refusal to acknowledge him as God, he began killing the people of Egypt, which caused the Egyptian priests at Memphis to give in to his request by agreeing to consecrate him to priesthood in order to save their own lives.
Okay.
Did you want my opinion, or
yes,
did you want to take it from there?
Yes, and this is how it went. This is how it went. It was by force. But, believe it or not, they still bucked it. And it didn't spread throughout Africa at that particular time. What happened was it spread through the Mediterranean and all the way back up into the white world, into Western Europe, because Eastern Europe was the Eastern Roman Empire was in power at Constantinople. And Constantine was the first pope. And the Western world had collapsed. So the Western world was getting back. I mean, they was giving back to their Western brothers. And the religion switched from the east to the west. And that's where it really took a ride. I mean, once it got back over there into the west, and they woke up, and the Moors went in there and helped clean them folks up. And once they got out of there, they were on a religious tirade to take that religion and force it on people around the world so that they can be gods. Because they noticed that when you on the Godhead, you could control the masses. You know, and religion was created, first of all, was spiritual story, whatever you want to call it. I hate to use that name, religion. But that's what our people understand. Religion was created to control the masses, to bring the masses together. Because before it was all little tribes, tribalism, a tribe here, a tribe there, and everything. And everybody said that Africa was destroyed by tribalism. I seen that in Chancellor Williams' book years ago, that Africa was destroyed by tribalism because we didn't have unity, just like today. We have all these different tribes out here. You got the Moors, you got the Israelites, you got the Kemetic people, you got the Christian brothers, you got the Muslim brothers. I mean, there's so many of us different things because we have been turned out by all these different people with their religions. And every race of people conceptualize God, the creator, or the creative force, who you want to call it, in their own image or with their own philosophy if there's no image. Because they'll say, well, Islam ain't got no image, but that's not true. I seen a picture in Islam where you got Prophet Muhammad, you look like a white man. Then you see the hands of Allah. I seen the hands of Allah coming out the sky in some pictures. Depends on what denomination of Islam, because there's a lot of denominations of Islam. When you look at Islam, you think of, oh, it's one Islam. Nah, it's all kinds of Islams, and they're fighting against each other. And I seen the hands come out of the sky, and they wasn't black. So if you see some white hands coming out the sky, you know that the face is white. So they're telling you that Allah is in their image if they show a picture. But they tell you that a picture is not right to have. Some sects don't believe in images, but in some sects, like the Shia and the Alawites and the Druids, Muslim sects that make pictures. They even have a horse, like a unicorn. They call the Bork. And this horse has wings. And this is supposed to be the horse that Muhammad rode all the way up into the heavens to see Allah and sit at the throne of Allah. So, they have all this stuff. I mean, this is like, when you can believe in some fairy tales like that, like I said, it's not hard to believe that it's a Santa Claus or, a Mickey Mouse or a Bugs Bunny or something, because it's the same bullshit. It's not real. It's a fairy tale. And they use it as a weapon to spiritually turn you out. And let me tell you, when they started doing it in the latter centuries, because it didn't spread into inner Africa, they rebuked it. But once they came back in, the Arabs came in, and they made strides and conquered and used their religion to, get control. Part of Africa became Islamized. Then the Europeans, once they came into power, they came in to Africa with the Christianity, with the sword and the gun, and then that part of Africa got Christianized. So you got half of Africa Christianized, half of Africa Muslimized, and now in Africa it's estimated that only 3% of the people practice an African spiritual concept. And this is crazy. There's nowhere else, no continent on earth with that many people that worship all the different deities that doesn't even have anything to do with them. And they swear that it came from them. But they have no ancient evidence that this stuff, in the form that it is, came from them. Now, I will agree that it might come from an African story, but it's not the same story. It's been turned around on you. I mean, you can say we practice Islam, because Islam's supposed to mean peace. It's supposed to mean peace, but they're not peaceful. Christianity, Jesus is supposed to mean the Lamb of peace, but they're not peaceful. They've been at war ever since they came out of the caves in the hills of Europe. So what do we have here? We have two foreign concepts in Africa, and Africa is the richest continent on earth, but the Africans are the poorest people. Now, what have these religions done for you lately, African people? Even here in America, black people, the poorest. If we ain't the poorest, and we a little bit rich, you have to change your ideals and your thought pattern to act like you're white or to dress like you white. I mean, you don't even want mostly anything to do with regular blacks. I mean, you can't be yourself. You can't speak the truth that you think is the truth. You can't speak your ideals. You have to stick to the script that they give you. And if you're radical, you don't get nowhere in this country. Because if you think outside of their ideology, you're considered some type of radical or heretic or something. So, it's crazy. But we're going to have to change this, and this is why Wake Up African People does these radio shows, so we can let our people understand some of the things that we the knowledge that we come in contact with. We try to spread it on to the masses that listen to this show. And Queen Hatshepsut, I'm going to start reading from where you left off. The key word in the above passage to keep in mind during reading is Mary Amens, Septepenary Sutor, which are words that were used to create the fictitious character of Jesus Christ in AD by the Roman Emperor Constantine. Mary, see the word Mary, like his mother Mary? Mary Amen, Septepenary Sutor were used in the BC, before Christian era. The image of Bartholomew below, which are similar to the image that are depicted as Jesus today, were forced upon the Africans and were ordered to be worshipped by the people of Rome. Let us continue. Serapis Christus, Greco-Roman, the Christian era, 135 BCE, the marble image in the London Museum is an image that they used of Christ. If you would go to the London Museum, you can see the Serapis image. It's ancient. It's not ancient, but it's ancient for the whites once they came into Kemet. It's that ancient. But we have stuff that goes back hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of years. But this is practically new compared to our stuff. And the Christos, who also nicknamed was Serapis. Serapis, Bartholomew rule was to create a deity that would be worshipped by both the Egyptians and the Greeks. He created Serapis, the made-up Greco-Egyptian god that was invented in the 3rd century BC, portrayed as a Greek in appearance but with Egyptian accessories, representing both wealth and resurrection. Now, does that sound familiar? Resurrection. What they tell you in church, if you pray and do right and give to God, you'll get wealthy, you'll get 7 times fold, and all that stuff, the same stuff. And Egypt, which you commended, my computer going a little crazy to me, by my theorist, Servinius, I have found to be wholly fickle and inconsistent and continually wafted about by every breath of fame. The worshippers of Serapis here are called Christians, those who are devoted to the god Serapis. I find called themselves bishops of Christ, Herodian Servinius. That was a letter by Herodian Servinius, who said that the Christians of the day and the people who worship Serapis were both in the time that he was in known as Christians. Constantine and Arius. Now, Arius was an African who knew that this thing was fake, knew that it wasn't born of a woman. I mean, it was out of nowhere. And he fought against that with all the stuff and knowledge that he had inside him. He fought against that, and he was killed for that. Constantine, the Greek, a.k.a. Constantine the Great, the Roman emperor from 306 to 337, is known as being the first Roman emperor to be converted to Christianity. But strangely enough, Arius of Libya, 256 and 356 AD, born of African descent, centuries after Bartholomew I, had a problem with the Roman Empire teaching the Africans and the people of Rome to worship a statue and celebrating death. He was considered a heretic and professed believers of God who maintained religious opinion contrary to those accepted by his or her church, what the religious authorities usually controlled by government deemed as the truth. So just like today, the government claims that it's a separation of church and state, but it's really not a separation of church and state, because the churches operate and the government pays them off by not paying taxes, and they give them food programs and all that stuff that regular Black Power movement can't get. They give it to them to keep the people coming into the church. Okay, because he started. Now they killed him because he started attracting so many followers due to his teachings that were contrary to the Romans. Constantine called the council by summoning all the bishops to discredit Arius. The Council of Nicaea, during the time when this meeting was called upon, there was no mention of a Jesus Christ at all. No man had ever existed by the name of Jesus Christ. An important fact is that this all took place in Anno Domini, A.D., which Christians claim means after the death of Christ, but in Latin means in the year of the Lord. The name Jesus Christ didn't exist before the meeting was called. Read the statements made during that time frame. You can go and you can find the information. We have the information highway, black people. There's no reason for you not to research and look at this and wonder why all these many years all these many centuries, we've been bowing to this deity and the condition that our people are in. Where is it? Where is this deity? Just because you working hard and you got to educate, you get an education, or you may even just be a regular worker, a carpenter, or whatever, and you get rich, that's from your hard work, not from some imaginary deity, especially that can be proven that is not real. And we're proving it right now. And you can find this information on the internet. You can find it in the libraries. They never really hid it from you. But they knew that if you put it in a book, and they always say this, that a black man or a black person will not find it. But that's changing now, because black people are starting to pick up the books. They're starting to learn. They're starting to be enlightened. And I'm so happy that I see so many people on Facebook. When I first got on Facebook, people used to argue with me. My page got turned off almost every month. I was down for 30 days because people did not want to they did not want to hear that this Jesus or Muhammad and all this stuff was nothing but another people's ideology of who God is. It's a theory because it can't be proven. Whenever you can't prove something, it's a theory. Even the African stuff is a theory if we can't prove it. Now let me read on. What Lord are they referring to? Kings have always been referred to as Lord or gods. Jesus Christ didn't exist during the time this meeting took place, nor ever heard of whom are people worshiping today. Serapis Christos. Nicaea Creed. Jesus Christ is born during the Nicaea Conference. Nicaea Creed, when you can look up the Nicaea Conference too, is all out here. We're not giving you some stuff out of the air. We're giving you stuff that you can go and reference. Listen to the names, people. Nicaea Conference. And this is the Nicaea Creed, where they created this Jesus and gave him a mother and made him into a human that came from God and manifested itself on earth in the physical form. Nicaea Creed, which became the statement of the Christian faith, was written, decreed, and sanctified by 318 Roman Catholic bishops at the Council in 325 AD. Some believe this transformation took place at the Council of Chalcedon at 415 AD. So it's a little discrepancies between these two councils, but you can find both of them. We believe in the one God, the Father. Now, this is what they said at the council. Let me start again. We believe in the one God, the Father. Now, notice there's no female in here. We always had a goddess with a God because that's balance. You can't have life without a male and female. Now, right. All powerful to all things, both seen and unseen, the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the only begotten from the Father, that is from the substance of the Father, no mother, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made, because Arius said it was made, so they were refuting Arius right here. Consubstantial, right, with the Father, through whom all things came to be, both those in heaven and those in earth, for us humans, and for our salvation, he came down and became incarnate, became human, suffered, and rose up on the third day, went up into the heavens, is coming to judge the living and the dead, and in the Holy Spirit, the origin of the Trinity. Right? No woman in there. And if you go and look at all the European pictures of heaven, all the old ones, I'm not talking about no new stuff, you never see a woman. None of the angels are women. No women exist up there. Go look and notice. I'm surprised no women have never noticed this. that there's no women up there. There's no women prophets, no women angels, no women gods, no women nothing. It's just a homosexual party up in heaven. And if there's a place up there where there ain't no woman, the truth doctor don't want to be there. And the authorities shut areas down and threaten him with death to keep his mouth shut. They poisoned the creed during the time when people started becoming aware of the lies and the deceptions, and ordered all books to be burned, destroy all ancient writings, no evidence, no argument. And the outcome was a transformation of Serapis Christos, which means Christ Savior, to Jesus Christ by edict of Emperor Constantine in 325 AD. So this is where your Jesus was born. And out of this, believe it or not, Judaism arose. Then Islam arose, because Judaism is not old. It's not before Christianity. It didn't come until later on because the Jews wanted to get in on the party, and they owned the printing press. And the first Bible that was written, the Old Testament, was by Gutenberg in France, 1465 AD. You can go look it up. Astro Black, the mic is yours.
Right on, brothers and sisters. I'm feeling the point that you're making about the duality and the balance in the creation stories as they come from indigenous cultures, especially African cultures. And having a spirituality and a religion that's founded in patriarchy is really a mockery of nature as it is, and the fundamental existence and necessity of having male and female working in tandem together to create harmony and justice on the planet and the universe. And going to the foundation of what religion is, and historically and socially and even in politically, religion, as Dr. John Hedrick Clark said, religion is the organization of spirituality into something that became the handmaiden of conquerors. Nearly all religions were brought to people and imposed on people by conquerors and used as a framework to control their minds. And so all across the planet, wherever you see slavery, chattel slavery, colonization, neocolonialism, there's always that hidden process, that very overt, and most of the time very overt process of mind control that's being enforced upon a people, initially by brute force and wholesale violence in the form of religion. And it's just important for our people to really, in the soul searching and the process of liberation, and that we are cognizant of the fact that religion is enforced upon our peoples as well as many other people who are connected to the universe and into nature in balance by conquerors and patriarchs and rapists. So question everything.
You saw it right about that. Queen Hatshepsut, you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I have something to say about what's going on. The title goddess, it gives the womb, it gives a woman no credit for no creativity whatsoever. So it becomes unorthodox to say goddess, bless America, instead of we trust, instead we thrust. Goddess bless you, and goddess creator of the universe. God is the title that is used for authority of the universe in English language. The title goddess is not used as authority of the universe. It's woman haters
is the ones that gives you dictionaries, Qurans, Bibles written by King James, the version of the Bible. If the authority of the universe is God, then the black woman is the divine manifestation of the authority. The black woman is God, mother of all invention, female and male deity, God, the woman and the man, and God, the universe. God is not plural. God is one. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 divided by 1 equals 1. Sometimes I feel like, it's a black girl's curse, because before the white man came into the picture, the black man and the women were strong. Black men were falling in love and crawling the black woman until the black woman completely lost their minds behind an absolute tsunami of government-assisted programs like in the mid-'70s and the early '80s. The range from free rent to medical care to free on-the-job training to preferred military recruiting for minority females. And since the mid-'70s, there has been a mass exodus away from the black woman. Men don't want to face the notion that women are more powerful than given credit for. Science has always been the enemy of religion. If you can't base facts, then you prepare to fight with religion. Islam and Christianity formed an alliance to destroy the tradition of black women in Africa and all who was oppressed by the black woman. The penis was chopped off as an Osiris, and only Isis could put it back together again, but pulling man from the dead of the underworld. So the penis had no power in itself without female energy. Where did Adam come from? Sometimes you got to ask yourself that. A man come from a man? Even males going into another male's anus is homosexuality. It's pretending that the anus is the whole of the female. Otherwise, rubbing dicks, excuse my language, would not be enough. This female replacement is an endowed cavity is sick. Hotep Neter. A nation is no higher than a woman from her womb, and all things began. The universe is a womb. All cosmic activity is synonymous to the woman's reproductive cycle. Planets are shaped like a woman's eggs. They are circled. The word galaxy comes from the word Gallic, meaning milk. Creation started in the primordial mound of the egg where Ra was born. All eggs in nature starts off as females. The Greeks called the sphinx is deception of a female lion and not a male lion. The representation is 10,000 years old. We must bear in mind when we are talking facts that there were no vowels or hieroglyphs back in those times. Our failure is impatient with those who cannot understand the fact is never important without the proper evaluation of it and a precise relationship to the other facts. Keep your eyes on Mother Nature. Mother Earth is feminine in philosophical way of Africans. It is nature that is our spirituality connected to our people. Look at the universe. It is always in the feminine principle. The theology of Egypt or Kemet is based upon female principles. All gods sat at the authority of Isis, the authority of Kemet. Peace, family.
You ran
I'm
that
just
time.
going in. I'm sorry. I had to look at the time.
But that's okay. We could go over time. Just keep it coming. But look here. This is one thing I want to emphasize. When we had our spiritual concept, we included the animals, which made us revere the animals and keep the animals safe and be nice to the animals. We had plants that made us respect the plant life. Ptah was seen as the deity of nature. He was green. You know what I'm saying? And we had the woman, which made men respect women. There was no such thing as beating your woman, messing over your woman. Your woman was seen as personified. But in these people, religion, the women is nowhere. They're not personified. Actually, she's a whore because she had sex with a sky daddy she didn't even know. So disrespect is so much disrespect for women. Women can't be priests, according to the Bible. They do it nowadays. But according to the Bible, a woman ain't supposed to be in no pulpit preaching. She's only supposed to be evangelizing to other women and the children, and that's in the Bible. And in one of the strictest black denominations, the biggest black denomination in America, the Baptist Church, they don't accept women in no pulpit. They would not let no woman get in no pulpit and preach nothing because they go strictly by these verses in the Bible. Now, this is black people who revered the woman, who personified the woman right next to the man. It was both. According to our ancient mythos and any parts of Africa, men and women were created simultaneously, not one from the other. And then some of them had everything being created through the woman, but we all still was one. It's duality. Because ain't nobody come from out no man without no woman, especially for no rib. I mean, come on, black people. We got to wake up. I mean, this makes us look like fools. You know, I mean, just actually makes us look like fools to believe in some crap like that. Ain't nobody ever came from no rib. Ain't nobody, you never seen nobody jump out no grave and resurrect. You know, that way. You ain't never seen none of these stuff, no whale swallow nobody. You ain't never seen nobody walk on no water, you know, without no special device. You ain't seen nobody raise up and go up into no heaven and come back out from heaven in some clouds or nothing. This is a fairy tale. If you believe in that, imagine your kids seeing you believe in that, but you tell him Santa Claus ain't real or Peter Pan ain't real or his little imaginary friend ain't real. Or the monster in his room at night that's scaring him where he can't sleep ain't real. Where he's seeing you believing in some stuff that he can't even see and conceptualize. Imagine the damage that you do to your children by continuously teaching this madness. So, you know, we're going to end this show hopefully on time. I think we got about 60 seconds left. Astro Black, you want to carry us to the promised land, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. Thank you for being here with us. Continue to look and continue to question everything, realizing that it's the black man and the black woman who were the first, the last, and we are the first first people in the universe, first people on the planet. And realize your divine nature and your divine spirit to thrive and to liberate yourselves from the shackles of colonialism and slavery. Stay black, stay strong.
And remember this, until we bring our queen back in balance with us and put her back on her throne and mount our throne next to her throne, we ain't going nowhere. Nowhere as a people. That's why they taught us this madness, because the woman is the manufacturer of the black race. And if her fruit is bitter, if she's bearing bitter fruit, teaching them this madness, then our people are going to be continuously enslaved forever. Stop following the script. Take them Qurans and Bibles and all these crazy books and throw them in the nearest fire or in the ocean or somewhere, anything, flush them down the toilet, whatever you can do. Get rid of them and wake up and be black, stay black, think black, buy black, and love black. And stop hating yourself. Good night, Hotep, Alafia, free the world, free the mind. We love you. Good night.
Night.